call to order the workshop meeting of November 6th. So this meeting will adjourn to workshop session. Thank you all for being here tonight. And before we begin, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll roll call. I'll start. Laura Gallagher Byrne.
Esmeralda Martinez.
Chantal Blois Murphy.
Vincent Murphy.
Thank you. Tonight's meeting is being recorded. So this is a workshop meeting, which means there will be no deliberations, decisions, or votes taken this evening. So the purpose of this meeting is to review and discuss the stadium renovation project. Typically, we don't include public comment during a workshop session, but given the importance of this stadium renovation project, I will be allowing it this evening. So a few guidelines. We have 30 minutes for public comment, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. We have a timer, so we ask that when you hear it, please wrap up your remarks. And comments should be specific to the stadium renovation topic only. And if you've spoken on this topic before, please allow others who haven't had the opportunity to go before you, just so they also have an opportunity to speak. And when you speak, you will take the hot seat located right here. And if we run out of time and you did not have a chance to speak, please email your comments to Dr. Hallett. And after public comment, discussion will be limited to the workshop participants at the table. So this is your opportunity to speak. And finally, I know many people have very strong feelings about this project, and we welcome your open and thoughtful input, but we ask that all comments please remain respectful and constructive. So thank you. So we will start with our first public comment from Mary Lepre.
Hi, my name is Mary Lepre, and I am a nurse practitioner, a mother of 3 children who go to the anti-public schools and also an alumni here. And looking around, I'm one of a group of us that actually played on these fields growing up. I want to start my comment today with a quote from Winston Churchill: "Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it." I find this very important for today. I know we won't ask this, but I would bet from a show of hands there's not many people that were here when we sat through this in 2021. You were not present. We had national coverage on this topic that highlighted the misinformation that was told to our community by the turf companies. Let's start from the beginning. Artificial turf was originally created by Monsanto, a company with a long record of controversy. Monsanto, as many know, has faced numerous lawsuits over products like Roundup and other toxic chemicals. The first generation of turfs, called Chemgrass, debuted in the Houston Astrodome. Today, artificial turf is a part of a $6.8 billion industry as of 2024, backed by powerful trade organizations such as the American Chemistry Council, the ACC, and the Synthetic Turf Council. The ACC represents major chemical corporations, including those in the plastics and petrochemical sectors. Together, these organizations craft messaging that downplays the health risks and promotes products made with chemicals known to harm people and the environment. For perspective, the American Chemistry Council has actively fought against bans on asbestos, which tells you a great deal about where its priorities lie. Meanwhile, turf companies have a clear marketing strategy: target high schools, parents, coaches, school committees, and athletic directors. Having already saturated the college market, they're now expanding deliberately to younger audiences. This isn't random. It's part of a calculated 10-year marketing plan. The playbook goes like this: start with professional athletes, move to colleges, then high schools, and finally elementary schools. I have little trust in firms that would profit from installing artificial turf. They're using the same tactics perfected by the American Chemistry Council, and before that by the tobacco industry. It's the same playbook. Fund studies to create doubt, flood decision makers with polished marketing, and insist their products are safe while independent science says otherwise. They tell us it's modern, low maintenance. I think we've all seen that.
good for kids. Just as tobacco companies once said cigarettes were healthy and liberating, I think that pregnant women were in fact encouraged to smoke. Please reject this misguided master plan and choose options that truly protect our children's health, like well-maintained natural grass. And let's be honest, the district's $48,000 annual grounds budget is far too low. Many island homeowners spend more than that on landscaping. If we invest even a fraction more in natural fields, our kids can play on safe, living grass instead of plastic turf filled with industrial chemicals.
Thank you. Jim Pignato?
Good evening. My name is Jim Pignato. I'm the former aquatics director, varsity swim coach of 20 years. I also am the acting president of the Nantucket Athletic Association and parent of 2 children who participate in running on island. Here to express my concern about the proposed asphalt surface for the new track. Asphalt is not a safe or modern choice. It's hard, unforgiving surface that increases risk of shin splints, stress fractures, and joint pain. It does not absorb shock the way a synthetic track does. The same type that is used virtually everywhere in competitive high schools and colleges across the country. Similar surfaces already exist on island, here at NIS, at NES, the Old South Playground, and the Boys and Girls Club. Track athletes wear spikes designated for synthetic surfaces, not asphalt. Using asphalt would make it impossible for our students to train or compete safely. Asphalt does not meet modern competition standards regulated by the National Federation of High School Sports. This means no home meets, more travel, less time in the classroom, increased expenses, diminished community support, and whaler pride. This would be like spending $20 million to build a brand new swimming pool that was 20 yards long. 25 yards is regulation. An asphalt track may have an initial low cost, but high maintenance expenses make it fiscally irresponsible. Asphalt cracks easily under the freeze and thaw cycles. You'll consistently be repairing it. We all drive around the roads on the island and we know what I'm talking about. An all-weather synthetic track has an excellent shock absorption, which reduces injury to joints and muscles, performs in all weather, allows for proper spiked shoes for competition, and has a lifespan of 10 to 20 years when properly maintained. There's been an increased surge in youth running movement on island. Supporting an asphalt track tells them they are not worthy to be invested into. We need to keep our students healthy, competitive, and proud to represent Nantucket. We must invest in a proper modern surface, not one that belongs in the past. I applaud Nantucket High School's new senior tradition, Make an Impact, that brings awareness to teachers who help shape our whaler athletes. This does not solely reside in the classroom. It starts with administration and elected officials setting the standard of excellence. The time to do that is now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kim Latlip. I serve on the board of the Nantucket Soccer Club, and I'm also a parent of 2 student athletes. Before I continue, I'd like to ask by a show of hands, how many of you have a child currently playing middle school or high school sports? Thank you. I ask that because for many families, the field space issue is something we deal with every day. If you don't currently have a student in these programs, it's much harder to see how strained our fields really are. Our grass fields are used all day for PE and recess, and then again by teams after school. They never get the rest or maintenance time needed to stay safe and healthy, which is why many of them are uneven or have holes. This fall, the middle and high school had 6 soccer teams, 3 field hockey teams, 3 football teams, and a cross-country program. All of that is being squeezed onto 5 grass fields in poor condition, which is why our school teams already rely heavily on the town's turf fields at Novadear. I want to be clear, Nantucket Soccer Program, or Nantucket Soccer Club wants to support the school however we can, but our program is also growing. This past fall, we had over 200 youth players using those same Novadear fields. So we're reaching a point where there simply may not be enough space for everyone, even though we're all trying to make it work. I also want to acknowledge the asphalt track being proposed. Asphalt is not safe for runners. It does not meet competitive standards, which means we still wouldn't be able to host meets after spending millions of dollars. Our track program is growing and has huge momentum right now. Let's help them by building a track that will benefit them. So if we rebuild the field as grass again and install an asphalt track, we are investing a significant amount of money to recreate the same limitations we have now. There are non-PFAS turf options available that would create a safe, durable, multi-use field that serves all sports year-round and relieves pressure on the rest of the campus fields. Our kids don't have many structured activities on this island. Sports matter, access matters, safe, reliable fields matter. We have an opportunity right now to build something that works, not just replace what's already not working. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Heather?
Hi, I'm Heather Woodbury, the mom of two girls who live and breathe Nantucket sports. Can we all just pause and take a minute and look around and see this room is full of parents, students, coaches, neighbors who care enough to be here at this meeting tonight? It says something powerful. We care and we are paying attention. Many of us are here because we believe the current plan won't pass at town meeting. We want a plan that does pass because it truly works for our kids and our community. The architects were asked to fix big issues: grandstands, ADA access, lighting, and the track and fields. SMRT's own report said NPS wants facilities that are safe, resilient, consistent, and high-performing. It also says our fields are severely worn from heavy use by teams, gym classes, and recess. Here's what it looked like this year. The football team was made off-limits to gym and recess. Every single CPS and NHS gym class and recess was pushed onto the field hockey field. The field hockey goal areas, they're piles of dirt. Drive by a gym class and over 120 kids running around on the field hockey field. What message does that send to our field hockey players and to every girl out there? Your sport isn't as important as others. That's not who we are as a town. The NES field where the boys at varsity and girls JV play, there is a 2-foot wide dirt, uneven running the length of the pitch that is just waiting for someone to fall in and hurt themselves. The current plan checks some boxes: grandstands, ADA, lighting, but it doesn't fix what matters for most for student safety and performance: the fields and the track. If we're serious about solving this, we have two choices: add more field space or use more durable surfaces that can handle the demand. Replanting grass without adding capacity puts us right back to where we started. Our fields are maxed out, and our high school teams already spill onto the town turf at Novadear. Parents, as I think Kim mentioned, are racing. I have both my girls at varsity and JV. I had to watch one game, half of it, and then sprint all the way out to Novadear to catch my varsity player. And I can't watch both my girls' games when they have home games, which is not ideal. And the track, asphalt, I'm still wrapping my head around this one. If the goal is safe, resilient, and high-performing, why choose a surface that's outdated, rough on athletes, and not used by comparable Massachusetts school? Our track team is now 75 strong and growing, and they deserve a surface that helps them thrive, not one that slows them down or risks injury. Imagine a runner never getting to set a personal record at home because we can't host meets. That's a loss for the athletes, the families, and our school spirit. If we don't change the plan, none of the issues I'm citing will go away. They'll be right there waiting for us when construction is done. We shouldn't invest this much money in facilities that are outdated before a shovel hits the ground. This is our moment to course correct and get it right. Please bring coaches, parents, and students into the planning process. Look at every option, choose real solutions, ones that add field capacity, prioritize safety, and let every kid here know that they matter.
How's it going? Doug Massey here, raising 4 kids in the community, one of which is a rising 9th grader, JV soccer player, and hopefully varsity star. I feel responsible to speak up about the proposed grass fields and asphalt track plan. $20 million is not a small amount, all right? It's a major investment, and for that kind of money, we should expect a real solution. This plan does not fix the underlying problem. It doesn't increase access to these fields. Doesn't reduce scheduling conflicts. It doesn't solve the field shortage our schools face every single season. When the dust settles, the high school will still be calling the town to use Novadear Field, just like they do today. Maintaining natural grass is a high use and at a high level is expensive and unsustainable. Within a few years, we're gonna be right back here could spend more money paying for repairs, resodding, resurfacing. So we're spending $20 million. We're still gonna have same phone calls, same headaches, same scheduling issues, and same lack of usable field space. That's not progress, that is fiscal irresponsibility. Fiscal responsibility means spending money once wisely on something that works. This plan spends a fortune to check a box. It does not meet the need. We can and should do better for our students, our athletes, and our taxpayers. If we're serious about supporting our schools and our community, then we need a plan that actually delivers, not a $20 million Band-Aid that leaves us exactly where we started. This plan needs to last our community 20 years, not 2. Thanks.
Nikki?
Before you sit down, can I just touch something? Thanks.
Hi, Nikki Drew. I'm in 2 capacities. I'm a health and fitness professional on the island, and I have been for 15 years. And I'm also on the Parks and Rec. I don't have any children that are in the public schools, and I'm speaking as somebody who feels very strongly about this with the kind of work that I'm in. Everybody has said everything that kind of I wanted to say beforehand, so I'm not going to go over that. Asphalt, such a bad decision. Shin splints. I do trigger point therapy. When I have to work on kids at like 12, 13, 14, 15 years of age, and I'm doing professional work and trying to fix problems at that age, that is so wrong. This should not be happening. There are way too many things that can happen on asphalt. So that is definitely not a good thing. Secondly, same thing with the turf fields. Everybody, what we're trying to promote is kids getting into sports, kids getting healthier, right? We do that as adults, and Nantucket, we're very lucky to actually have that community, and we are known, it's well known, being in the Boston Globe, that we are one of the healthiest towns in Massachusetts. Well, our kids like to follow suit. And if they are coming in and on absolutely outdated materials, what is that doing for their psyche? If they're going to college, they want to do other stuff, you know, they're trying to compete in the world, they're not going to get anywhere on asphalt or the turf fields. Now, coming into talking from my Parks and Rec, knowing exactly how much is put in to changing out fields, where everybody's going, how it's working around with the amount of athletes that we have here, we have no room for that. What if we have a drought like we did this year? How is that being taken care of? You know, all the water was turned off. And yes, a lot of the town are on wells. I understand that, and we have been able to use that, but it's still water and it's overuse. I don't think that is, it's not a good way to do it. And as what was just said, we're putting money after money after money. I, as a taxpayer here, I don't want to put that much money into something that is literally being appropriated every single year for the same issue. So I just want our kids to be able to compete. I don't want kids coming to see me so I can fix issues, stress factors, anything like that. And down the line, they're going to have some big injuries, and that's not right. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Tom?
Hi guys, my name is Tom Hanlon. I have 2 kids who are dedicated to the athletic program and who give their all at those fields. Like everyone here, I want what's best for our kids. Most of you know I spend my days working with grass and irrigation. I know what holds up and I know what doesn't. And I can tell you that overused grass fields don't. We can't be afraid to let technology back into the conversation. We need to see how far things have come since our last run at this. Our understanding has evolved, and so has the science. Let's talk honestly about PFAS. Today's turf and track products are tested more rigorously than most anything else that goes in a school building. I don't know of any other product in this project that will undergo as much PFAS testing as turf. but there will be plenty of building components with higher PFAS levels than the turf. You can't build this project without PFAS, but what you can do and what we should do is look at the technology compared to what we know now and allow it back into the discussion. Trace PFAS are everywhere, in our water, dust, rain, our phones, our clothing, but the industry is responding, phasing out PFAS, improving transparency and recycling materials right here in Massachusetts, and that is real progress. Let's be clear about the majority of PFAS are coming from. Biggest contributors are firefighting foams, construction materials, household chemicals, leaky landfills, cosmetics, paints, and food packaging, all with much higher PFAS levels than modern turf. Even the soil, which we had tested in the football field that we are discussing tonight, has more PFAS in it than the turf has. Our focus feels misplaced, and the ones who lose out are the kids in our community. So why are we singling it out to something is meant for them? Why are we okay replacing fields that will be back to what we currently have again in 2 years, or putting in an asphalt track that leaches chemicals, needs toxic sealants, and isn't safe for our athletes? Our fields are overused and worn out, over 1,000 hours of play each year. The football field alone uses more than 1.7 million gallons of water per season. We have already had water restrictions this year. What happens if these water restrictions continue, or more likely get more stringent? How are we meant to keep these fields healthy enough and safe for our athletes? Not to forget the hundreds of pounds of fertilizers that are used for the upkeep and constant upkeep every year. We can do better, and we should. Let's move forward with a plan that's responsible, honest, and built to last. Let's give these kids what they need. Thank you.
Jamie?
Hi, I'm Jamie Lower. I've been a coach on Nantucket since 2012 for girls lacrosse. I was also a coach off island for a club team. I have a large network of coach friends from all over the state. I want to make 2 points. A lot has already been touched on. The first is that our high school field is overused. 2 years ago, in the fall of 2023, there was a plan to redo it. They did a great job. It was the generosity of a lot of local companies that put in the time, put in the labor, and they did a great job. Unfortunately, it didn't hold because of the overusage, as has been mentioned. That's the first point I wanted to touch on. The second one is my experience as a coach is it can be very hard to get teams and officials to come here. The top reason for that is because of the condition of our fields. I had the opportunity to do a lot of out-of-league scheduling, and it was very challenging to have teams because they didn't want to play on our field because of the safety. They didn't want to, officials don't want to come. They say it hurts their backs. So as an example of that, I've reached out to a lot of those coaches, and I've gotten a huge amount of letters of support. I want to just take the opportunity to read one of them. To whom it may concern, my name is Kelsey Beaton, and I'm writing this letter in response to a request for my feedback about the field conditions and to support the initiative to improve the athletic facilities at Nantucket High School. I have had the privilege of coaching lacrosse and field hockey for over 25 years at Sandwich High School. Additionally, I have coached youth soccer at both the recreational and travel levels within our town. Over the years, I have spent time on countless athletic fields across Massachusetts. Respectfully, the state of the fields at Nantucket High School does not reflect the high caliber of the athletes who represent your school. As a longtime coach with many professional connections, I have some flexibility when determining our high school scheduling. Field conditions do play a significant role in these decisions. When a playing surface is uneven or unsafe, it directly affects our willingness to compete there. Considering the extensive travel required to reach the islands, the additional concern of poor field conditions makes scheduling games at Nantucket increasingly difficult to justify. The stadium surface is noticeably uneven and unpredictable, creating legitimate safety concerns. The uneven ground, pooling water after rainfall, muddy and slippery areas, and sparse grass coverage collectively pose risks to players and officials alike. As a coach dedicated to helping student athletes pursue their goals at the collegiate level, I prioritize minimizing injury risk. Unfortunately, the current field conditions do not meet the standards of safety and quality necessary to warrant competition at Nantucket over other equally talented opponents. Given the importance of power rankings in determining postseason opportunities, teams are increasingly factoring both competitive equity and facility quality into scheduling decisions. Our program is no exception. This makes it all the more unfortunate that the field conditions are limiting Nantucket's ability to host the level of competition its talented athletes deserve. Please know that I have great respect for your coaching staff and for the athletes representing Nantucket High School. It is clear your teams are well-coached, dedicated, and competitive. My hope is that this feedback helps bring attention to an issue that, once addressed, will better support your athletes and enhance the overall quality of play. Sincerely, Kelsey Beaton. Thank you.
Doug?
Hello, I'm Doug Lebrecht. I've had one kid graduate through the high school here. I have 3 currently in the school system. I'm also the head coach of the Nantucket women's soccer team. For the past 2 seasons, we've used the Nobody turf fields as our home field for more field space, so it allows other teams to play, and also the quality of our field. Our level of play has stepped up. The turf field is bigger, plays truer, and has us playing at a higher level, which gives us an equal chance when playing other teams, as the other teams are mostly on turf. At the 9 teams we play a season, there's only 1 team that plays on grass. The grass fields we play on here are unsafe. We have suffered many injuries from soft and unequal ground conditions. Part of the field is an infield of the boys JV baseball field, which has sand added to it. It makes it play horribly. When running on grass, the quick transition to sand creates a high chance of causing tripping, sliding, or running over the ball. The goalie area is severely compacted and has lots of rocks, making it hard to dive and slide without getting hurt. The left corner flag near Surfside Road is actually higher than the rest of the field. In order to get a good kickoff on a corner kick, you have to run down the hill and then try to strike the ball into play. At our recent homecoming game, one of our players actually pulled a hamstring in the process of doing this. Of all the injuries we've had from our field conditions, they have come from this field at NES. Although we've had collisions and fouls in the turf field, this is bound to happen on any field. We lost our lead scorer 3 seasons ago when she jumped in the air, landed on the field, sinking into the grass, into the dirt, causing a season-ending ankle injury. And it's not just the players getting hurt. I have video and have seen many referees trip and fall on our fields, especially on the infield part where the baseball field meets the soccer field. Weather is a huge influence which we can't control. This season, we had 3 rescheduled games due to wind and rain. 3 games in our last week of the season. Our last home game would not have happened if we were playing on grass, as it rained the day before and the morning of, causing grass fields to be closed down. If we had missed that game, we would have been ineligible to play in the playoffs, as all games had to be completed by that Thursday afternoon, which we already had an away game on that Thursday, which was also rescheduled because of field conditions, as it was against the only team that uses grass. But being on turf, we were able to play our last home game safely and were eligible in the playoffs. There is a new baseball boys field at Bacchus, and now a new football field being proposed with grass. Nothing for women's sports. By making this new field a multi-court turf field, it would help bring equal opportunities to our women's sports teams. Not a fix, but it would help. It would allow us to have evening games without leaving school early, and we could use it for practice in the evening so we don't have to rush from school and coaches don't have to leave early from work. Turf fields. You don't have to water it, you don't have to fertilize it, and after installed, you can play it on immediately. Not give it a year to mature. I have done PFAS water tests on the Nobody field in July, which came back negative, and I've recently performed another test and waiting for the results. I will let you know. Thank you.
Rich?
Hello, good evening. I'd like to be quick, as I know I'm the last one, and there may be one person behind me that would like to fill in. Rich Brannigan, 25-year boys varsity soccer coach, parent of 4, one still on Nantucket. The other 3 are off in college. I just want to say that I'm in opposition of option 1 as presented. I just don't think that's the right direction to go. For many reasons, but first of all, because it's short-sighted, and I've heard the same thing earlier, we'll be back at square one in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. New playground surfaces all over the island, synthetic, PFAS already on those. I'm a grass guy, I'll put it that way, But we need to look at other options for a game field, which will provide opportunities for all student athletes, not just those who are lucky enough to have the opportunity to play on Vito Capizzo Field. I'd like to offer the rest of my time to Elizabeth, a field hockey coach, if that's possible.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Weber. I am one of the co-head coaches of the field hockey team, special educator, and mother of a future Whaler. I'd like to thank Heather Woodbury for her comment about the field hockey team. It brought me to tears and articulated our concerns beautifully. And I'm hoping to provide a different perspective of this issue on behalf of our players who would have liked to speak tonight, but they had a college meeting. Long story short, we have been coaches for 7 years, and there are a few things we feel that might be important for you to know about the field hockey program that many of you don't, about what these girls have accomplished. 5 straight trips to playoffs, 3 trips to the second round, 3 straight 10-plus win seasons, 1 collegiate athlete for every season we've coached. And at all 3 levels, all teams are full, and even too full at times for the past 7 years. We've had 4 Lighthouse Division champions, MVPs, and we are able to produce a successful program on an overused and unsafe field. We house 3 teams on 1 field. The primary thing we would like to communicate is the amount of opportunities being taken away from female athletes on island as a predominantly female sport that is meant to be played on turf as a result of field availability and overuse. Multiple attempts have been made to run clinics and create a youth program, but parents have been denied. I've been denied field space due to upkeep and overuse. I have an email that says, you can't run a clinic, the grass is too long. Well, why can't you cut it? There are so many opportunities. The girls have no opportunity to play outside of regular season. They're forced to go off island and spend so much money to be seen by college coaches. It limits their ability to play in college. I was someone who graduated in the Great Recession. If I wasn't able to have a scholarship to play at St. Anselm College, my whole life would be very different. That's what we have to think about. Thank you.
Caleb Willems? Megan Parent?
Hi there, I'll be super quick. I'm thrilled to see so many female athletes. When I grew up here, we didn't have a girls' soccer team. We barely had a soccer team. So it just makes me so excited to see all these parents and all these lady athletes. So congratulate yourselves on that. Ironically, I learned about PFAS at the university where I played Division I soccer. I learned about it because I went for an education, not to be an athlete, but I learned. One of the things that I learned was the best way to limit your exposure to a toxic chemical is to know about it. If you know that there's a potential exposure, you can limit your exposure to it. We know PFAS is a toxic chemical. We know it causes cancer. So why are we looking at putting a toxic chemical on top of the recharge area for our sole source aquifer? That just seems asinine. Our community has spent a ridiculous amount of time on matters like STRs, windmills, erosions, affordable housing. None of that will matter if we don't have safe drinking water. So I encourage everybody to rethink the use of synthetic PFAS fields. Additionally, I don't think the pavement is a good idea for the track either. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Jill B. Jill?
Did not prepare, it's Jill Veith, I'm a Surfside resident. I did not prepare remarks because I didn't think you'd reach me, but I think everybody heard from me enough the other night. But I want to encourage this workshop to identify usage as the driver of this discussion. And you've heard that from everybody that they don't have enough access to fields. I know for a fact that this school cannot afford endless grass fields. It is impossible. We don't even have the land to do it. much less the money. And I really want you all to do a cost-benefit analysis using usage, not just the money, but you've got to take in the risks and the rewards of all health costs, environmental costs, and economic costs. And it's very important that you address that. And that is what I am most interested on, kind of the factual side of that. And then on the personal side, I can just say that I have had so many of my daughter's friends come and tell me how ashamed they are of this school and how ashamed they are of their fields. And they're embarrassed when opponents come and play. And that's really what got me. And I hope that Grace, maybe she can speak to that tonight, but it's wrong. It's wrong what's happening here. You have a wonderful opportunity. We have a wealthy community. We have people that live in the most wonderful, beautiful homes. They get everything their hearts desire. And then these kids are playing on dirt. And I am really tired of it. And I hope you all make a wonderful decision in the next few weeks to analyze the data, to analyze the facts, but also to remember that we will support you if you are going to do the right thing. Thank you.
Madam Myers?
My name is Madden Myers, and I'm here as a student athlete. I'm one of more than 70% of students at NHS who play a sport. Sports aren't just an activity for a few of us, they're a part of who we are as a school and a community. Sports have taught us discipline, teamwork, and how to handle both victory and defeat. They've kept us focused, out of trouble, and proud to wear Whaler pride across our chests. We want facilities that match that same level of pride. Something that says, we believe in you, we see how hard you work, you matter. The goal of this renovation is always to provide a safe environment for our athletes to play on. Our current fields are worn down and not built for the kind of athletic programs we've become. I've heard many complaints about the asphalt track and how it's extremely unsafe to run on, but we should also consider the other sports. I've been the girls' varsity soccer goalie for 3 years now, and I found myself calculating multiple times on the NES field how to not knock the wind out of myself when I dive on the ground. It also isn't fair for many sports to practice on different fields than we play on. For games like homecoming, for my lacrosse games, for my basketball games last year, we've given up the home field advantage far too many times. It's important we support athletes with the right facilities and state-of-the-art technology with more fields and more playing space. Right now, we have a plan, but it's not a solution. I don't want to be back here years from now arguing for better facilities for my own kids because years ago I didn't fight hard enough.
Anyone else? Lisa?
Good evening, members of the school committee. First, I want to begin by thanking you truly for the time and the commitment that you've put into this project. We all share the same goal, creating facilities that are safe, environmentally responsible, and worthy of the incredible students and athletes who represent our school. While there are many amazing upgrades in this almost $21 million plan, the track and field are not an upgrade. If completed as is, this plan will send us right back here, asking the town for more money to repair the same kind of issues that asphalt tracks and grass fields inevitably bring. And beyond that, the $21 million plan eliminates field events. We are approving a track that our kids can't safely practice on, can't compete on, and can't host home meets on. And even more alarming, it eliminates half of an entire sport by not taking into consideration the requirement of the field event areas. In the end, this plan provides us a walking loop around a football field. Let's fast forward, pretend it's year 2033. The track is approved as is, the plan is approved as is. But now, the track is cracked, the fields are worn, and the town is once again being asked for money. When that time comes, people are going to ask two questions. How did this happen, and who approved it? And the answer will point back to this room and to this moment. When parents, coaches, and community members asked for a pause, we asked for a chance to sit down together to look at all of the options, to find a plan that meets both the environmental and the quality concerns to make sure that this enormous investment truly lasts. The truth is, by 2033, many of our children will have graduated. They won't be the ones using these fields anymore, but the issues will still be here. The same arguments, the same frustrations, just with different parents and different voices. We can either face those challenges now, or we can kick the can down the road, but either way, they're not going away. This is our moment to deal with them responsibly and completely. Right now, this conversation feels like an us versus them situation. Two sides standing on totally opposite sides of a line, when in reality, this should be a we conversation. We all want the same thing, the best outcome for our kids and for our community. At the moment, the concerns regarding the PFAS, which are extremely valid and absolutely deserve to be part of the conversation, are casting a shadow over all of the other concerns. The concerns of parents, of coaches, and of athletes who are asking for modern, durable, and functional facilities. All of these concerns are valid, and all of these concerns deserve to be heard. True settlement and true agreement means compromise. It means everybody wins something and everyone gives something up. We can restore balance with both sides sharing in the win and sharing with the sacrifice, so that our students get the best of both worlds, safety and quality. That's what we're asking for tonight, not to overturn all of the work that's been done, but to take a collective breath, to put fear aside, the fear of conflict, the fear of being wrong, the fear of compromise, and to simply say yes to exploring whether we can do better. As officials who are voted into these positions, you have been entrusted by this community to lead, to represent not just one side of the discussion, but all sides of it. Leadership is not about rushing to a finish line. It's about having the courage to pause and to listen and to make choices that we can all stand behind years from now. Our kids and the generation of kids that will grow after us deserve that kind of leadership. They deserve for us to be thoughtful and brave and intentional in how we move forward. Please reconsider submitting the plan as it stands and allow all of us, as leaders in this community, to come together to create a solution that truly serves the current generation and the ones that will follow. Thank you for your consideration.
Any further comment? Hearing none, I will close this portion of the meeting and turn it over to Catherine.
Thank you very much. I just want to say a few comments. First of all, I will introduce our colleagues here from SMRT, the architects, John McMeeking and Nick Vaughn, wherever you might be, somewhere, and bring them up to do the presentation. But I just wanted to make a few of my own comments. As the superintendent of the Nantucket Public Schools, it is my job to always think about the students from the first moment of the day to the end. And this project has been pushed down the road for multiple years. The actual original project started looking at development prior to the construction and planning of this school here, the intermediate school. So we're talking before 2017. And now we find ourselves in 2025, and we still have not been able to get to a point where we have been able to make changes to our athletic complex, which is truly in need of change. It is the job of the school district to work with and support and do what the school committee recommends to us, for us. So all I'm asking, as people are listening and speaking in this conversation tonight, that we always keep the students in mind and what their needs are. We know that we really need a plan that can be successful and pass at town meeting. And I'm asking you to consider what that might be after you have heard different conversations happening at the table today. We have a lot of important pieces in this plan that cannot be ignored, such as a grandstand and bleacher system that absolutely has to be updated. It is out of compliance and becoming dangerous. We have a track that we need to build. Our current track as it stands is not compliant, and we cannot host any events on that track.
So I strongly recommend that you think about a plan that can pass at town meeting and let us support that plan as it stands. So please keep the kids in mind. That is the most important thing for me and my colleagues. Thank you. All right, so John and Nick, you guys are up.
Can everybody hear me okay? If I speak, would you guys like to stand up? Might be able to project more? No? Good. It's amazing being here tonight. I started coming here in 2018, shortly after our firm finished this particular building. And I don't know that I've ever seen this many humans in this room. This is pretty impressive. Would like to start off very quickly, capping up John and I and SMRT's role here. Our role is to work for Chip and Beth and also to work for the school board. We are here tonight because we have been working on this master plan in 2021. And at this point in the master plan, we started moving away from the academics and started focusing on athletics, the fields, which is why we're here tonight. At the time, the master plan, which had started in 2013, up in the corner over here, had always designed it so that there would be synthetic fields there so that all the other natural grass fields on campus could handle the amount of pressure that's appropriate for natural grass, and we'd have fields that could handle more pressure up top. That was in the beginning. In 2021, when we started designing that project, there was community concern about PFAS in the grass, what the materiality really had in it, and what it might do to the aquifer. That paused the design at that point of moving forward with synthetic grass. Today, SMRT is designing a natural grass asphalt track solution for this in response to that, as that's what we've been asked to do. Tonight, we're going to take a few minutes. We're going to walk through where we're at, and we will be happy to answer any questions, and we're happy to facilitate any conversation that you'd like to have. The phasing of the master plan, just very quickly, and we'll try and be quick because we know you don't want to be presented to, you want to talk, and that's what we're going to try and do. The blue dots are things that we already completed in the master plan. The yellow are things that need to be completed based on the 2013 priorities. You can see that most of the yellow dots now are around the field, athletic field.
I'll take it from here, I guess. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everyone, for the invitation to be here. My name is John McMeeking. I'm a landscape architect, and been doing work out here for the better part of a decade. So I think I'm more invested in your town than I am my own town. So kudos to everyone for being here and showing support for public schools in general. So this is where we were in 2001. This is where we are now. So asphalt track, natural grass field, 980 seat grandstand, new parking, emergency field access, and some pedestrian circulation. In addition, we're proposing a new team room building as well as a new boosters and concessions building. Again, this is kind of the program we're looking at the moment for the current design of Capizzo Stadium renovation as requested to us by the public schools. So tracks are huge. First of all, they take up a lot of space, and there's essentially three geometries of tracks. Long and narrow, it's just an equal quadrant, so all four sides of the track, the two straightaways, as well as the two ends are the exact same distance. Broken back and unequal are slightly different, but all three of these options are 400 meters. By far, the most prevalent is the unequal quadrant track, as it allows you to get a very large field inboard of the track, but also doesn't take up as much width as, say, the broken back, or as much length as an equal quadrant track. So just basically, for a track, we're looking at your actual 6-8 running lanes, so 6 distance lanes, 8 on the sprint lanes. The 2 D zones consist of long jump, triple jump, and a high jump. Additionally, additional space will be needed for shot put and discus, and I don't think Massachusetts participates in javelin anymore, which is probably a good thing. inboard of the track, with an unequal quadrant track, you can get a 210 by 360 foot field with 15 feet of run out room. So those comments about, uneven areas for corner kicks and such for soccer, those concerns would go away due to the geometry of the unequal quadrant track. And again, it's far and away the most prevalent track you'll see out there. So option one, which is again our proposed design, and just touching on these two components, which is the field and the track, right now as it stands, it's a natural grass field and an asphalt track, as that's what's been requested. Option two, we would again go with a natural grass field, where we go with a synthetically surfaced track. Say synthetically surfaced, it's essentially a polyurethane track system like you see everywhere else. And option three would be a combination of those two, a synthetic turf field, inboard, and a synthetically surfaced track. This is what you guys have right now. This doesn't meet any regulations.
Okay, question?
Please.
So the previous slide. So in your time with SMRT, the two of you, have you guys ever installed an asphalt track for a school?
No.
Case closed. No, just out of curiosity. Yes, but.
Yeah, you're talking about polyurethane. What about synthetic rubber?
The synthetic rubber, it's an EPDM, a virgin rubber, and that goes on the very top of the track, top of the polyurethane, that gives the track surface its grip. It's an EPDM rubber, it's not a crumb rubber of recycled tires.
No, but I've seen rubber tracks that they lay them out fairly easily. They don't last as long as the polyurethane, but they're probably somewhat easier.
Yeah, and as far as ease of installation?
Yeah.
Honestly, track surfacing companies, first of all, a track is built with an asphalt base. They all are, with the exception of very few that are made out of post-tension concrete. But almost 90% of tracks are built with an asphalt base, just like a road that you guys drive on and we all drive on. It's a higher quality asphalt because there's no recycled asphalt content allowed in that pavement. So it's a high quality asphalt and it has incredibly high tolerances for slope. So it has to be less than 1% pitch inside of the slope. So essentially it's flat. So again, it's all asphalt, and then the synthetic surface goes on top of that. So that's how these tracks are built, and that's not including all the base stone and everything that goes in, the drainage, everything.
And a follow-up question, what's the longevity of the synthetically surfaced track?
20 years minimum. You would probably have to repaint your lines every 5 years, maybe.
Thanks.
Can I ask also, what is what's the length of time of a simple asphalt track?
I think one of the speakers earlier noted about freeze-thaw patterns. And it all comes down to the asphalt installer. But I mean, 8 to 10 years maybe with just an asphalt, but you'd probably be resurfacing that and seal coating it and patching it, just due to the elements of living in New England. But it's a viable running surface. It's certainly not an ideal running surface for anyone who runs. I'm not a runner, but I think again, another speaker was talking about, injuries, mechanical injuries from running constantly on asphalt. I don't know, it's not the most forgiving surface, but it's certainly a viable running surface.
Can it host competitions?
Not sanctioned, no.
Right. I just want to reinforce that it's the people at the table that can ask questions.
I was just asking.
You can't.
Yeah, that was what public comment was for.
And just for we can go back one real quick, for everybody in the room and people in the workshop, option one is the only thing right now that we know anything about. So option two and option three are only here for conceptual conversation in nature. We don't have any materiality selected for that. There's no specification. The only thing that we could talk about material-wise when it comes to option three would be the things that we had put back in the 2001 conversation. We haven't brought forward anything else in this presentation So just want to be clear there that we know what's going on in option one. It's the other options that are up for the conversation.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
Which I think kind of leads nicely into this one. So, talking about option one is the only one you guys are aware of. How, and that is approved right now from school committee, right, as it stands. So I think an interesting question to ask is, who developed that and who approved an asphalt track? And how did that get to the point where it did without public notification? I found out about it in the online, actually, from a news report. So I guess I'm just interested is how this came back into play and how did an asphalt track get approved?
Kate, I can answer your question.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
We haven't been able to bring any sort of plan to the table since 2021. There's been a lot happening since 2021. So in considering with Mr. Clooney here and Mr. Lombardi, the timing and the fact that we need, we continue to need making that change. We felt that based on the school committee's lack of support for anything with turf and anything else, that way that we would put out basically the same plan but with different surfaces. So the asphalt track and the natural grass field is the same location, the same specifications, but include those changes in surfaces. The 2021 plan is exactly the same with regard to the space to where it goes. The only difference with the 2021 plan was that it did include an additional turf field, and that has come off the table for this current Capizzo Stadium upgrade.
Which school committee was opposed to turf? It was this exact. It was our first year.
The members on the school committee were Laura Gallagher Byrne, Esmeralda Martinez, Tim Lepre, and then we also had Rocky Fox and Pauline Perch.
So it's a different, so we're having, this is almost a fresh conversation about that.
If I may, also, the reason why this was proposed was rightly so to move things forward, because we cannot wait any longer. And we have to consider the fact, and I keep saying this is one part of the project. We are talking about other things that are absolutely crucial that need to happen. And so that is part of the reason why we put it out to move things forward and ask for your support on it.
And it wasn't that the school committee approved it, to be clear. It was that the school committee wanted to continue a design. And then that sparked this conversation.
Oh, okay.
So this is where we are today. Not gonna harper on this. We'll just touch on field use because it's a major issue. You guys have a participation rate in athletics, which is about.
Is there any way to make that bigger? Because I don't, great question. I know I wear contacts, but I don't know if anybody else's eyes are better than mine. No, I know. Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah. Oh, right, for those,
Basically
yeah.
everything.
Not for us, for those who don't have them.
So look at this yearly totals is what we want to look at here. In 2020, this is from 2021, we analyzed all of your fields on campus. And
You want to, just really quickly, because I know everybody in the room's probably seen this for the first time, whereas we look at this all the time, we know exactly what's here. If you're starting on the left side of the page, it says spring, summer, fall, winter. So those are the kind of these four middle columns. This one over here is the yearly total of all those seasons. And what we're saying on the very far side is the site. So the field type and the type of use it gets in terms of what sports are playing on that particular field. And what we're able to do is tally how many hours of pressure each one of these fields are receiving.
Can I ask a question? In the past, or there was the kind of the buzz number was all the fields were achieving more than 1,000 for all the fields, but is it right to say like upper fields are 942? I'm reading that right? So
yes.
It's almost, we're going 3,000-4,000, right, per year? Is that right, with all the fields? 1,000 hours of usage time is kind of the buzzword for all the fields, but it's to me reading like it's much higher
No,
than
it's
that.
per field.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
per
yes.
field
So
is getting
for the
1,000.
football,
Okay, I thought
lacrosse-
it was all,
yeah.
okay, so
So
this
for the
is much
football
higher than
lacrosse
I even
field,
thought.
at Capizzo Stadium, that's in 2021, so I don't know what it is today. I'm guessing it may be close to this, maybe a little bit more, I'm not sure, but I came out at almost 1,200, whoa. Did I do that? That's me.
Thanks, Frank.
Almost 1,200 hours on the football lacrosse field. The upper field's adjacent to Sparks Avenue, the field hockey field, if you will, almost 1,000. The NES natural grass fields, the multi-sport fields with the overlap, almost 1,400 hours. And your Bacchus Lane fields, essentially around 1,000 each. Now, this is important when you analyze natural grass fields and what they can take. So this is a chart from a professor and extension specialist of crop and soil sciences at NC State. And he outlines very succinctly what should be expected for the number of hours that you spend on a particular field and how that field is going to perform. So for a really good, sustained natural grass field, you should be only putting 200 hours on it.
200.
For a good field with some thinning of the turf in localized wear areas, like in down the middle, your hash marks, your goal creases, 400 to 600. Like ideally, Travis, that's probably where you guys would land, somewhere in that range. A fair field condition with significant thinning and wear, we're looking at 800 to 1,000 hours. And then more than 1,000 hours, you're looking at significant turf loss, damage to the field surface, and increased potential for athlete injury. So when we go back to that chart, when we're looking at numbers that are, 1,200, 1,000, we're just way over what is recommended for a field to perform and also be maintained.
Can I ask a question? So if we go through this plan as it stands, and after the construction's done, will that usage have been addressed and less on the fields, or will it be the same amount?
Yeah, it'll probably stay the same unless we add practice fields somewhere.
So I'm just basically
Yeah, no.
wondering, it sounds to me like we're not solving one of the issues.
With you.
Right, yeah. And so I'd have a two-part question to that. I remember in the master plan, I thought I saw there was an outline for another school.
Right.
And so where is that gonna go? Am I correct that it's on the JV soccer field right now?
Flip that real quick.
And so that would be potentially losing another field?
Correct.
Okay.
But then that site then could get converted.
What's that?
But then that site then got converted, if you lose the field, then where the school will be lost, you then have a new field.
Can you speak up, sorry?
Yeah, maybe. Is that what the plan is, if we lose?
Wait, so what are you saying?
So I don't think you could get another field, because that's for the middle school, right?
Yeah.
So if the school went on the current JV soccer field,
NES.
where would the field go?
We would lose that field.
You would
We would lose the field.
We would
I
lose
thought
that
you were
field.
saying it would go somewhere else.
He was, I get
was
what you were
asking the
saying. You were
question.
saying if, it's gonna be the middle school, right? If we remove the old middle school,
Right.
can we put a field in that spot? Is that
Got it.
correct?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I was asking.
I don't know if you,
That
I
kind
don't-
of defeats the purpose of adding another school, because we're having space issues.
issues as it is, like you
Yeah.
probably
So
filter
I
that
can't
to the, yeah.
imagine,
It
I can't
becomes-
speak for you, but I can't imagine us
So-
demolishing this.
Put it on just-
Sorry.
You're gonna have
Field
a
then.
really hard time scheduling.
But you'd actually lose all these fields because you need you need parking, you need circulation for
Yeah.
buses, you need emergency fire access. They typically want to get all the way around a building, especially a school building. So,
Can I ask one more question about
Please.
usage too?
please.
So after this plan happens, if it goes as is with no additional fields or no consideration for turf, and Travis, you might be able to answer this better, will the team still have to go out to Nobody?
I don't know the answer
Yeah.
to that. I mean, the town and Parks and Rec have been super generous the
you're
last
like-
couple of years. And Doug has been
Yep.
great, out there. But now that I'm on the floor here, I'm in a tricky situation. I'm in a tricky spot. I'm a parent
Yep.
and I'm also the athletic director. But we haven't got, and I'm gonna just make it very clear right now, that you can go back a couple slides for me to the three options. I'm a three guy, okay? And I'm gonna thank Jim, Kim, Heather, Nikki, Doug, Tom, Jamie, Doug, Rich, Elizabeth, Jill, Madden, and Lisa for their comments. I'm not gonna repeat everything that they said, but everything that they said is hitting home. And Jamie, I put a star next to, Jamie Lower. She is spot on. Like, it is super hard and difficult to schedule games out here. And she hit on some reasons. Like, we are very close, and Jamie was very close to a lot of officials and coaches here. And I currently am, and Matt, the assistant AD, is. And it's a constant. It's a conversation that we have all the time. Travis, am I gonna tear my ACL today? Like, no, Brendan, you're okay. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Like, those are serious conversations that that I have. And it gets old. And it's unfortunate that this is what it's come to, or I guess it's fortunate now. I mean, I'm hoping, and I'm glad that everybody came out tonight to talk about this, because that's what we need to do. We need everybody involved. It can't just be a small group. It has to be this community. It's our kids. And like Beth said, like, we always need to keep what's best for our kids in the forefront of our brain. And that's what we need to do. And the safety piece and everything, like, I get it, I agree. The asphalt is not safe for our kids to run on. We have 75 kids in our track and field program. Or we had 45, I think we ran the numbers this afternoon.
Grace
45
just said-
high school, 25 CPS.
She said about 80 in the
Yeah,
spring.
so it's like 70, 80 kids, and it's only gonna increase. So I think we need to seriously consider, I know we're not voting on anything, but like, that's my thought behind all this, is we need a turf field and we need a synthetically surfaced track to like make this work for our kids. It's not fair. Doug said, I think 8 out of the 9 teams that we played girls soccer off island all played on turf. That's what we're doing. That's what these kids are used to. And that's what they want. That's what the coaches want.
I was the JV soccer coach this fall, and Doug's spot on. JV would split off to play on grass, and every single game -1 varsity was on turf. So if the town, right, they have the say to allow the high school to use the turf field. We're at the town's mercy, and
They've
like
been
you said,
great. They've
they're
been
being
great.
great, but
Time's gonna run out.
Time is gonna run out because our youth programs are robust, and the youth programs are the first programs to have access to over-the-air turf. It's the town owns it. So I just find it so interesting that we're still here now in 2025. Girls varsity soccer, girls varsity lacrosse, and boys varsity lacrosse are going out to Noberdeer to use a town-owned field. I mean, truly, that makes no sense. So one thing too, I think is really interesting. I love this chart with the existing field use, mostly because it's dated from 2021, which was essentially, for all intent and purposes, still a COVID era. So I would love, I can imagine the hours are way higher because we have more students, we have more kids playing, and we're back to real life, right? This was a time. Right, this was a time when not as many kids were playing, and I think the thing that really speaks to me is the more than 1,000 hours increased potential for athlete injury, so they're directly related. It's really important.
Sorry to go on a tangent there, but.
I would raise a question. One, we don't have enough PFAS in our water. We'd like some more. Secondly, the turf field out of Noberdeer is dangerous. You've got crumb tire there, and it looks like the kids are coming out all inhaling that crap. They do. Third, I think a synthetic track makes a lot of sense to me. I think a grass field makes a lot of sense to me. I understand concerns people have, but I'm not seeing on the football team a large number of injuries because they're playing on grass. And so
I just want, for a point of order, Aisha has been trying to speak for quite a bit of time, so I just want.
I have a lot of comments, but I didn't know if we were gonna wait for them to finish their presentation and then go.
We would like
Yeah,
to
we'd like
finish
to see
the
that. Sorry, I jumped in. That was me, sorry.
That's okay.
I have like the playability and stuff information.
Okay, so then we'll carry on with the presentation.
try and be as brief as
And
possible.
then online, there is, you do have a proposed, you have the current field usage, and then you have a proposed one too online on the town or on the school website, where you do take into consideration the increase of the school. So it's on there.
Oh, great.
It's just not in our packet.
I think it might be old.
I was gonna say, we haven't updated.
Old.
No, that's, yeah,
Could be
that
old.
was,
That was in 2021.
that was from 2021.
Yeah,
We haven't
That was-
updated anything since.
And the proposed field matrix was actually based on 2 synthetic fields.
Oh.
Right.
Because that's what
We need to
the
update it
master
all.
plan called for. So that, yeah, that is quite dated. So again, field usability, natural grass, let's just say we've got a 600-hour field, good to fair condition, it's open for 30 weeks a year. Synthetic turf, if you were so inclined, you can get anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 hours a year. It's open year-round. You can easily play 6 to 8 hours a day if you have field lighting. And jumping back to the natural grass, a high-performance field, 200 hours should only be used for 8 hours a week. I mean, that's not realistic for this community. A good to fair performance natural grass field with 600 hours of use, you can essentially use it for 25 hours a week. This is maximum. So when we're talking about fields and the fact that we don't quite have the space here, if you were to install one synthetic field, it's essentially equal to 3 to 3.5 natural grass fields. So that's why communities put these in, is because they don't have the space, they don't have the maintenance capabilities, and more kids are able to use them. Field maintenance, again, natural grass fields, we're looking at mowing a couple times, 3 times a week. Irrigation, 1.5 million gallons a year. We're fertilizing, we're lining, then we're resodding at least once a year. So hours-wise, you're looking at 450 probably hours a year in maintenance time, and that's just for one field. Synthetic turf, we don't mow it, we don't irrigate it, we don't fertilize it, we don't line it, and you do still have to maintain it because they are not no maintenance, they are low maintenance. And that gets thrown around that these are no maintenance fields. That's not true. Synthetic turf fields have maintenance. You have to groom them, you gotta brush them, you gotta occasionally sanitize them or spot clean them. But it's far less maintenance in terms of worker hours.
Define sanitize them.
Vomit, blood, those kind of things.
And that's something you don't have to do with a grass field, is it? That's not.
Well, they're
the point.
irrigated, grass fields are irrigated, so, and also the UV light actually helps a lot
So
to disinfect
you're
synthetic
saying
turf
that
and
synthetic
natural grass.
isn't good with biologicals.
No, it is, you just have to clean it off. We used to irrigate these fields 10, 15 years ago because they thought that it actually cooled down the turf fibers. That's actually been proven to not help at all. So these fields are not recommended ever to be irrigated anymore. Unless, you might see some professional fields irrigate them. It's more for look than it is for anything else.
What about on a sunny day? Let's say a sunny day in June.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't actually recommend irrigating synthetic turf because the evapotranspiration, when it's really hot, it'll actually make the field hotter because that water's
How much hotter do they get?
I mean, synthetic turf can get very warm.
So you can get burns with it?
I've never heard of anyone being burned by it, but you can certainly, if you fall on it and you can get turf burn, but you can get that anywhere.
We've had kids get burned out in Oberdeer Farm.
Just from like putting their arm up on the turf,
It-
or like sliding on
This was
it?
actually, this was in July, so it wasn't during school.
Where they run camps all summer and over the
Yeah.
turf. I've never had seen issues, yeah.
I think it's a fair point, Jim. I think that a lot of what we see in the heat sinks when it comes to synthetic is when fields are using the chrome rubber infill, that really holds on to the heat. And then when it cools off, it lets go of the heat pretty quickly. And while that might sound like a good thing, that it's cooling off quickly, it's actually letting a high amount of heat that is hot right above the field where the athletes are running and playing. There are different types of infill. I think the 2021, when we proposed a natural ground up wood, which is supposed to help with that. It is still hotter than natural grass, the synthetic is. There's no question.
100%.
I have a question regarding that. Does it make a difference, I would think, like, just geographic placement, New England makes more sense than like Florida, some of the southern states?
This is a big issue in the south.
I would think it would be a much bigger issue down south.
100%. It's a big issue in the south, in the Midwest. We don't see it being a complaint. so
But kids
much-
are still playing on it in that heat,
Yes.
in the south?
Yes.
I coached high school soccer in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Oh,
where it's
top it.
quite warm.
And you play on it?
Well, the school that I was at had a natural
Okay.
grass field, but when I coached club soccer, it was all that. And you had to take breaks.
Yeah.
You couldn't play the game quite as long.
Right.
And it's also quite uncomfortable when it's that hot for the parents.
Right.
Right, because
Yeah.
like they don't have the benefit of running around and moving, they're just kind of
Yeah.
on the field. So in the south, it is a
South, yeah.
a very large issue.
May I ask, what's the temperature in the south? I mean, here, as we all know, in the summer, it's always foggy and gray in the evenings.
70 degrees, 75
I was
max.
gonna say, we're pretty fortunate here with
South is probably
temperatures.
100-degree days.
Yeah, right,
plus.
well, and beyond just the ambient heat, it's also the closer you get to the equator, the more direct the sun is, so it's heating up that field a lot faster.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have moved around the campus and now we're moving around the equator. Can we just stay to task on this field, please?
Natural grass field, your installation, just for the sod, about $350,000, and then you guys can read this. You know, everything costs money. This doesn't include any labor costs. And again, turf, your cost is really upfront. It's the initial cost of the turf. And again, this is $600,000 is for the turf and the infill only. That doesn't include any of the base stone, the shock pad, or any of the drainage. But your turf replacement is really once every 8 to 12 years.
Where do you replace them?
Where do you?
Where do they go?
There's actually a fully operational recycling plant in Brockton, Mass. now called Turf Recyclers USA. So
Do they
it's
have-
active and opening, and they're accepting turf fields.
Are they recycling or just stacking it up like down in Pennsylvania?
No, they're recycling.
They're only taking 10 a year,
Who is this?
the Brockton ones.
Like just opened?
Rematch. Yeah, because Rematch went bankrupt. The one that you had told us was doing it is bankrupt.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
the
don't know.
Brockton one is.
It literally just opened,
In July, right?
I believe, yeah, like not long. So I would say in a year, they're probably doing,
Only 10 a year. I asked.
well, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure if they are profitable, they will expand their operation, but I don't know. I know it's fully operational, but the thing about turf is synthetic turf, I mean, it's once every 8 to 12 years that you're replacing that carpet, and it's just the carpet. So we'll see where they are in 8 to 12 years, if the schools were interested in pursuing that. As Nick has reiterated, that's not currently the plan. Just trying to give some facts here. But there is a fully operational plant in Brockton, Massachusetts. Full sod replacement on a natural grass field is recommended every 4 to 5 years. That's full sod, not just between the hash marks and the goal creases, which, from what I understand from Chip, happens at least once or twice a year here. And again, synthetic turf field, these are typically warranted for at least 8 years, and recommended to have a full turf and infill replacement every 8 to 12 years. Some municipalities and schools will extend that out to 14 years or more, depending on how much play it gets.
Can you get more out of it, the, like, better you maintain it?
Correct.
Is it, like, if you clean it 3 times a year or something, the lifespan increases?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it depends on budgets that are available, and labor that's available. You typically are grooming synthetic turf fields once a month, and one man can do it with a grooming machine, attaches to a back of a John Deere Gator kind of thing, like a glorified golf cart. And you can either brush it or sweep it, but they're just grooming techniques that make sure that, especially on football fields where most of the play is right between the hash marks, not all of it, but a lot of it is, that's where we'll see on predominantly football fields, they're trying to groom that pretty frequently. So for a multi-sport field, you'd be grooming it once a month.
Can you do me one favor, please? Can we go back one slide, please?
Yes.
This table here with the costs, and you got something, oh, what is it, $400,000, sorry, plus the annuals, $350,000 plus the annuals, bringing to $400,000 for the first year, then versus $600,000. This is something that I've learned the hard way. Is this state numbers or state averaging, or is this numbers that you've come up with for Nantucket? Local costs are always much higher, is the reason I'm asking.
Yes, yeah, we call it the Nantucket factor. So we add 30 to 40% onto everything. These numbers are actually for your natural grass field, and this is what's.
And this is with Nantucket in mind?
This is these numbers for the natural grass field are from CHIP.
Okay,
so these are what is happening now, minus the sod number, and that is an industry standard off island.
Okay, and then the 600,000 will be an installation fee on island?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. Covered that one. So that was fields, tracks. Again, they're all pretty much asphalt-based material. And just to kind of give you a brief description of what was actually proposed in 2021, this is called the Recordtan G13. 13 relates to the thickness of the wear layer, which is 13 millimeters. This bottom layer here, this gel base, this is predominantly high-grade polyurethane, which is made from renewable resources. Again, this is just how these are constructed. So you have an asphalt base, and then this gel base layer with the traditional wear layer that goes on top, which is EPDM rubber granules. And these are poured-in-place systems. And again, this would only apply to options 2 and 3 if the school committee and the public schools decided to go down this path. But we wanted to make sure that we showed you what was proposed before, and these are still, top of the line products. Again, in 2021, these were the products that were proposed. Greenfield's Iron Turf Ultra Green is a woven product. And then a shock pad anytime you're playing football on a field to reduce head injuries. We always recommend a shock pad. This is the PowerBase YSR, and the Brock Fill, which is engineered southern yellow pine. Again, these apply only to options 2 and 3, but this is a pretty traditional system.
You lose infill over time?
Yes. I mean, it migrates slightly around the field itself. We've actually started installing, I don't know if you think of like a farm, and when like cows cross over those grates to get the mud off, or even like grates before you enter certain buildings to get the sand or the ice melt off your shoes, it collects in sort of a tray beneath the grate. So turf catchers, we can catch the infill material that way. As you exit the field through a gate, there's these turf catchers that are installed. But yeah, I mean, infill does migrate. You'll see it on TV. Sometimes when they're playing, you see big splashes of crumb rubber.
So on average, how often do you have to like reload?
Your infill?
Yeah.
Oh, if you groom it properly, once every probably 5 years. So not too often, but they come in these giant 3,000-pound super sacks, and they could reapply a product like this in a day and a half. Right.
Is this one of the better products for like the Northeast? Is it, as far as the infill? Like I know I've heard sand, I've heard, rock infill, I've heard coconut husks, all this.
Yeah, there's a lot of different environmentally friendly alternatives to the crumb rubber.
So
some of them float, some of them freeze. The Brockville has been tested and proven in climates, in harsh climates in New England, to not freeze.
Okay.
So that's really the big thing on this. But
Gotcha.
Again, none of these fields are no maintenance. Everything needs to be maintained.
Yeah.
I have a question,
Yes.
Madam
Yes.
Chair, because I feel like we've gotten rid of all formalities of this meeting. Try to bring us back.
But it's a workshop, so it's okay.
Great. I'm just curious, so the once every 5 year statement that you made before, is that keeping in mind the level of usage that this field would be getting based on the numbers that you showed? I know we only have the 2021 numbers.
Yeah, if it's groomed regularly, that number is still accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, these fields can essentially take unlimited play if they're groomed. But yeah, there'll be top dressing and things that will have to happen. And you'll see it a lot of times, again, in goal creases, between the hash marks, those kind of things. There's a whole bunch of other amenities that are proposed as part of this project. In interest of time, I'm gonna fly right through these because I don't think these are as important to the conversation that's been going on so far. Let me rephrase that. They're very important, but they're not as maybe as confrontational as some of these other ones. Proposed grandstand, 980 seats is what's proposed with a press box to make your facility fully ADA compliant, from the top and the bottom. The hill that exists out there right now, this grandstand will be built into the hill so you can access it from the top and the bottom. In Massachusetts, press boxes have to be fully accessible. So if you don't have the grade change to work with, you are left with installing an elevator or a lift to provide accessibility to the press box. That's a Massachusetts law. So you would not have that condition here, as this grandstand would be fully ADA accessible at the top and the bottom.
Can I just clarify, so if the grandstand were to be replaced by itself without any of the other work happening, we would have to include an elevator, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
So your press box, this is a standard press box, has a home team, visitor team, and officials timing and communications. Nice little countertop, a ship's ladder in the middle up to the filming platform. There's also filming platforms on each side, so there's essentially 3 filming platforms, one on the roof of the press box, one on the home team side, and one on the visitors team side. Lighting. Your existing field lights are, they're not good. You have a lot of light spill, a lot of glare. It's very difficult. These are photos from a few years ago. You can see it's difficult to see the athletes. I can't imagine what it's like to catch a ball. This right here is an existing photometric plan of your field. The recommended minimum foot candle, and that's a measurement of light for a field, is 50 foot candles. Your average is 28 foot candles. If you zoom in to your end zones, which I'm gonna do right here, you got single digits, 6, 7, 8. I don't know how anyone catches a ball
It's been
in the
dark
dark.
in those corners since I was in high school.
Right, so,
Or finds a player, like your son.
What's that?
Or finds a player to
Yeah.
throw to.
right, so you have a very low uniformity index, and you have very low illumination levels in the end zones and in, I would say, high trafficked areas. Again, the minimum recommended level is 50 foot candles, and it's 75 foot candles for lacrosse because it's such a fast sport. The ball's small, and people can whip that thing. So your field lighting is it's not great. This is what a traditional modern day, if you will, LED fixtured lighted field should look like. You should only see the field. You shouldn't see anything else. You shouldn't see that spill, that glare. Dark sky compliant. Beautiful. And support buildings, team room building. I know there's some renovations recently done on your existing field house. That field house, based on the space available, would need to be relocated anyway. So that could be moved to somewhere on the site, on the campus. But a new team room building is proposed with an occupancy of just under 50. Bench seating, athletic training space, official space, public restrooms.
You go back, but that picture is not gonna be the team building, those are the restrooms, right? Go back.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
this is just an example of a restroom building
Those are
that,
restrooms, yeah.
at a private school.
Unless our team has
Yeah.
5 people.
Yeah. The new team room building will have 2 public restrooms. It will have space for the officials, a storage space, a larger team storage space, bench seating with cubbies, and then a large athletic trainer space. The lower level, because this will be built into the hill near Cow Pond, would have full storage on the lower level. These are some elevations. Again, this would be looking from your existing grandstand across to your team room building. This is a proposed elevation on the north side. And then looking south, you would have this overhead door down to a full storage basement, which I'm sure Travis would love.
We like storage.
We love storage. Everyone loves storage. And these are just your east elevations because we all want to make sure that HTC stays happy with us. A boosters building, a full food and beverage program with full commercial kitchen, merchandise and sales windows. Again, more public restrooms. We're actually providing in this option 3 women's and 3 men's public restrooms. A large concessions building here, boosters, merchandise sales, an entry vestibule, and a mechanical electrical space. These are some elevations, so the concession windows would be covered to get you out of the elements. And this will also be a place where you can do ticketing for games and do some crowd control that way. Again, just some more elevations. And just finally on project costs, right now the option 1, which is the proposed design, this was recently estimated, shockingly came in at $20 million. Option 2, which is a natural grass field and a synthetic surface track, you're looking at somewhere around 21.5. And then option 3, which was synthetic, you're looking at least 23. This is today. I don't know what it will be in 2 years, but it won't be less.
John, can you remember the, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Yes.
There are currently bills in the Senate and the House of Representatives to ban turf fields in the state. A number of towns have banned them, and I was wondering what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, they're still being discussed. There's passionate voices on each side of the table. I don't know. I really don't know. I know that Boston is not putting any in. I know one of those bills is trying to stop municipalities from procuring them or putting a moratorium on them for a certain number of years. I don't know. I think we're just going to all have to follow that. I think a lot of towns and municipalities and schools will probably rush to put these in if they found out that that was actually had legs to pass, but I honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of passionate people about turf, so yeah, I don't have a great answer for that.
I have 2 questions. So if we were to go with option 3, start to finish, what's the timeline?
For construction?
Yeah, start to finish.
8 to 12 months of construction.
Just to go back to what Tim is saying, if that's okay, Laura.
Yes.
If these bills do pass, we have a new synthetic type system. Then we have to do a replacement in 8 to 12 years, possibly 14. We have to go back to grass at that point, and then we have wasted our time anyway.
Yeah, I hate to dabble in hypotheticals because I really don't know. It's a great question.
It's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd like to reiterate very quickly, we want to provide this committee, we want to provide school with what they are asking for.
Yep.
We have only designed and installed natural grass fields here. Chewbacca soccer fields and the natural grass baseball field. It is not, we work for so many communities across the country that have different sensitivities to what they want to install. Some of them are, like Maine, we both drove here today from Maine, right? Maine is having the same consideration. It's not a bill yet, but that conversation is happening there. So we have clients all over the place that are in this situation. Every community has to make the decision for what they want to have. And there's going to be a compromise. There's going to be a compromise in this room. The one thing I would impress on everybody in this room is, if we had done the previous plan last time, but had only done natural grass, we would not have solved, right, the pressure issue. And I think that's the hardest thing that's the hardest hurdle to overcome potentially. But had we done it, we would have done all that for $17 million. You'd had the new stadium, you'd had new lights, you'd had the new facilities, you'd had the turnaround, and you would have had better grass then for those students, and you wouldn't have had the synthetic track that we were already talking about. We want to provide whatever that is in a timely manner so that we don't come back to the island, 2 years from now, and now the same thing is another $5 million more. So it's a tough question.
No, it's a valid question because it also brings to bear the simple point of why we're all here tonight. There is no consensus. There's one lady, I believe her name was Lisa, pointed out very clearly, there's two sides to this on what surface you want. And no matter which way the committee might go or request, there's going to be losers who are going to feel very hard done by, and then we're going to be back to square one potentially because there'll be another groundswell of support for another thing again. So what we're trying to do is vet out what are the worst case scenarios. I like to look at the worst case and hope for the best, but then I know what can go wrong so we can plan accordingly. So that's what my interest in is here, and asking long hypothetical questions. What could go wrong? And that's what I'm trying to understand. So I'm not questioning it, your wonderful expertise. I'm trying to understand what are the risks so that we can make a good decision for the community.
Can I ask a quick question, because I think it's a good time to speak of this. Since the last conversation in 2021, 2022, I know that the technology has changed and advanced. As the experts, can you guys speak to that? How the technology in turf has changed in recent years?
Yeah, I mean, the major change is there's a fluoropolymer that was used called PVDF as part of a lubricant to extract the plastic through the mold to make those turf fibers. There was a lubricant put in to essentially help that process. That lubricant has changed. The PVDF fluoropolymer has been removed. That's an industry-wide change from what we were being told. That's not just AstroTurf in Greenfields, that's everyone from what we're being told. We don't work for the turf companies, so. Pardon me?
Do you know what it's been replaced with? You said they took it out.
No.
That would be good information for us to know
Yeah.
what the lubricant is.
Yep.
I have a lot of answers to a lot of the questions people were asking, so whenever could I go into that when they're done?
Yes, we have 2 more slides. But no, that's fine. And are you all catching a boat?
Ideally.
So, yeah.
It's only your.
Yeah, it's to install it, $350,000 to $500,000.
So you're asking the delta between having the asphalt and then adding.
Well, I mean, okay.
Because you're paying for the asphalt.
I think the asphalt is sort of the turkey.
Right.
So that, no worrying about that. The synthetic track is what I think is realistic.
It'll add $350,000 to $500,000 to that $20 million number to surface your track. Island money.
Oh,
Stop sharing.
Great, so, okay, I'm just gonna go into it. I have a few things, and I'll just go through, try as fast as I can. And a lot of this information is from Santa Clara Medical Association, from Dr. Sarah Evans from Mount Sinai. And so I want to just kind of hit up on the public health part first, chemical exposures, heats, injuries, abrasions, microplastics, MRSA, and then go into the environmental, like recyclability, but then also go into some kind of uplifting things, in my opinion, of the playability and the economic reality, and then the bills. I do have some information on the bills that and the moratoriums. So Dr. Sarah Evans looks at the artificial turf. basically, a lot of their thought process is whenever you have a safer alternative, you go with a safer alternative. With tracks, there isn't really anything out there, and it's within the track, you try to go with whichever is the safest one. In my thought process, whatever you can avoid tire crumb rubbers, you should. So there is I think you said there was a virgin plastic, that probably might be the best option with the track. And then for artificial turf, there are 4 things. There's carcinogens, neurotoxicants, reproductive toxicants, and respiratory irritants that are all within artificial turf. Benzene, PAH, styrene, cadmium, arsenic, PFAS, VOCs. The neurotoxicants are lead, zinc, phthalates, VOCs, microplastics. The reproductive toxicants, phthalates, plasticizers, micro and nanoplastics. Respiratory irritants are VOCs, particulate matter, and silica. So the exposure happens a lot of times through inhalation, skin absorption, and accidental ingestion. Children are more likely to inhale. The way that they move and they roll around on the grass and the grounds, and then they breathe more rapidly, meaning that they take in more air, so they actually are exposed to inhalation at a higher rate than adults are. So with the plastic, the nanoplastics, turf fields are a major source of micro and nanoplastics. They migrate into our waterways, our airs, our lungs, and they are endocrine disruptors. There is about 40,000 pounds of plastics in just the turf, and then the 400,000 in the infill. That's the plastic if you go with the plastic one. So 40,000 pounds of plastic, that's about 43 million plastic straws. That's about the equivalent. And then when someone was asking about how much leaves, it's about 20,000 fibers would leave the turf field a year. So that's about 2 to 5 tons of infill leaves the field every year. So I don't know the replacement, you said it was 5 years. It could be anything, no, it could be crumb. So crumb rubber is probably around 3, and then the rock and the husks are around 5 tons. So that's about, each ton is like a truckload of your Ford or Toyota Tundra, like a truckload of that. So that leaves the field 2 to 5 tons a year. So then and then the turf field that we had, Martha's Vineyard did do, Tetra Tech they were able to do independent PFAS results for that, and it did show that for a full cycle, it leached 12 parts per trillion of the PFAS-6. So that component, I think it's called the synthetic turf field, the green field, it leached 12 parts per trillion, and that's the leachable PFAS that comes out of it. So the other thing to look into, is it what? 12 parts per trillion per year. So every year it'll leach that much. And that's the synthetic turf, greenfield, iron turf, ultra green. The other thing to look at is when the turf companies are telling everyone that they are zero PFAS or PFAS free, a lot of times that's 10 part per million. So that's 1 with 7 zeros following it, or 100 part per million, which is 1 with 8 zeros following it. So that's a lot in parts per trillion, but they consider that zero if it's less than that. So it's still a high amount, and then the leachable amount is higher in parts per trillion. So then the next thing is the health and safety for as far as heat exposures. Heat exposures is another thing that children are very susceptible to. It's the #1 cause of death for children is the heat illnesses caused on the fields are for high school athletes. And then football players are most affected. This is from Mount Sinai. For children playing sports, yes, heat illnesses, for like heat strokes, heat exposures, and it's all from Mount Sinai. So there is, will we have heat?
Illness death in the Northeast.
Yes, no, they have them in the Northeast. They had some, I think I didn't put it all, I didn't tell it. And they have them, but football players are most susceptible to it because of all the padding and all the, yeah. So, yes, it is. And then, so artificial turf tends to be 30 to 50 degrees higher than the ambient air. So when somebody was asking about burns, yes, first degree burns can occur at 118 degrees, second degree burns at 131 degrees. And what does that mean? That it can go 30 to 50 degrees higher. So if outside it's 80, 85, the turf field can get up to 120, 130. So the field itself. And yes, the crumb rubber is hotter, it holds the heat longer. Other infills can hold it a little less, but it does go up that high. And it's, yeah, I'm just letting you know. Yep. So then the city of Burlington, Massachusetts, it's got so bad that Burlington, Massachusetts actually has a heat safety policy limiting basically limiting certain temperatures. So if the surface, that's the actual turf, becomes 100 degrees Fahrenheit, no play, they can't play on it. Then if outside air, the outside temperature is 85, no play. 85 with 60% humidity, you can't play on the turf, the artificial turf. And then starting at 82 degrees, they have to start taking precautions. And those precautions would be, you can't wear your helmets when you're playing football, you can't wear your padding when you're wearing your football, because that becomes very, very high in high heat for the children to play on. So that's, you can, but then they would have to switch. You would switch to like a grass turf, is what they say. And then watering down the turf does provide some sense of relief, but it's usually minutes. They don't get that much. Then as far as artificial turf injuries, I'll just skip by that. I mean, usually the higher rates are in the knee, ankle, hip, and foot injuries. They do have concussions, and this was very much the NFL players were the ones who are speaking up about this a lot because of the impacts of the injuries causing their career, many career-causing ending injuries. Turf burns, abrasions, that's another concern, and that is increased on the artificial turf, and a lot of times if you don't use disinfectants, you can run into things like MRSA or staph infections. And so the women's soccer league actually was someone who brought a lot of this to light, was because they sued to have the right to play on grass. So that was the women's soccer league who didn't want to play on artificial turf because of all the turf burns. Also, to offset the, so a lot of times on the turf, you also have to use disinfectants, and those disinfectants are pesticides to kill the microbes. So
What is fertilizer for the grass? Right? I just want to make sure that we're hearing people.
yeah, fertilizers.
And how often do you have to fertilize the grass? So it just keeps.
Right, I have more information on that. Yep. So basically, which is great because there's a group and they're beyond pesticides. And then there's also Sustainable Turf, STS, and they're the ones who do the grass fields for Fenway, and then they do the practice fields for Gillette. So both of those groups actually pursue pesticide-free, fertilizer-free programs. And that includes aeration, it's leveling off the fields. Now, this would take quite a bit of money, not $200,000, $300,000. It wouldn't cost as much as a turf field. But you guys are probably familiar where you aerate, you flatten the fields, you irrigate more, you aerate, you do more sod, you do more maintenance practices. And they actually can come to the fields, so it's not more burden on our current maintenance staff asking them to do more things. They can also, there are practices where you sharpen the mowers, you shorten it up, you cut it more. So there's a lot of those kinds of things that you can do. And then there's a case study. So if anyone doubts that, University of Lowell, Mass. did a case study, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware of Marblehead. Did you hear about the town of Marblehead? You guys worked with them? So they actually were one of the first ones, and it was, let's see if I can find it really quickly. It was, well, they did a program, they did case studies, and they were one of the first ones to go fully organic with their whole city, and they worked with the University of UMass, sorry. And so the Village School Lower Field supported 2,210 hours of play, and then the Hopkins Field supported 1,860 hours of play. So those are extremely high usage hours, and I think that's why a lot of us want or have wanted the artificial turf, was to get the high usage. So this town and these fields were able to do it because they stopped using the fertilizers and the pesticides, which meant that their soil health became really, really strong. And when you have strong soil health, you actually can withstand a lot of the rough, kids playing on the grass. It actually also, with time, costs less to keep up and less water usage. So those two, I think that that's a great thing to look into, and there's case studies for lots of towns within Massachusetts.
Not to interrupt you, do you know how long it took for that turnover to occur?
It was, within the first year they saw it, and then I don't know, this was maybe within the first or second year that they got that usage out of it. So prior to that, they still had a high usage, but the 2,210 hours, that's, I think I just wrote this down. That is a day. If you look at the school hours, during the school year, that's 12 hours a day. And then the 1,860 is 10 hours per day. So it's a high amount that should hopefully be able to do that. And then the last thing, the moratoriums. These are the places that are doing the moratoriums. I think somebody had asked. Sharon, Wayland, Concord, Brooklyn, Boston has a hold. It's not a full moratorium. Pelham, Oaks Bluffs, Martha's Vineyard, Shutesbury, Amherst, Littleton. Then there's watersheds. Charleston River Watershed and Mystic River Watershed are both against the microplastics and the PFAS artificial turf. Then there is a bill that's by Senator Michael Moore and Rep. Gentile that's passed the committee, and I don't know which committee it was, but it was passed through the committee, and it's currently in the Senate House and Means, and this Senate and the the House Ways and Means, sorry, Senate Ways and Means and the House Ways and Means that prohibits municipalities from funding, from their monies going into supporting artificial turf. So that's something to really look into, because that's kind of the situation we're in.
I'm just gonna pause for a moment so our architects can get to the vote. If anybody has any remaining questions before they, yeah.
So in this whole building envelope, I imagine not just the track and the field, I imagine there's gonna be lots of this project, am I correct? Like, I understand that asphalt shingles have PFAS. I've heard that cedar siding, in order to weatherproof it, has PFAS. Paint has PFAS. Vinyl flooring has PFAS. From what I'm seeing, the building materials is at, let's say, 79,000 parts per billion. I'm seeing a track around 4.1 part per billion. Maybe it's million. I think it kind of depends on which track material you're looking at. But I guess what I'm wondering is, we have a massive usage issue. We really do. And when I'm looking at something that's telling me that firefighting foam is at 488,000 and household chemicals are at 208,000 parts per billion. We've got building materials at 79,000 parts per billion, and I'm looking at artificial turf at 4.1. I understand, I'm on a well, I'm like, I get it, I wanna be safe, I wanna be responsible, but why are we holding the track hostage and the field to this when there are other parts of this envelope that'll have PFAS all over it, and it will be inside, right? These kids are sitting in school, we are surrounded by PFAS within this school with no circulation, so.
I think the move is wherever there's a safer alternative, and we push to get it out of here, we push to get it out of the foam, these are big things. So that's why wherever there's a safer alternative, we should push for it. It's something I've asked the town many times to stop with a lot of the products that we're buying, but you can only go so.
So my question is, like, in 3 years, right, has the product
Started to get better.
Like
Well,
the,
That would be a question for them.
with like the
Oh,
rock
thank you
film,
very much.
the
Yeah, thank
fluorinated
you.
polymer, which is safe travels.
No, that's a PFAS.
That's a PFAS. No, that's been removed from the excursion process. They just answered that.
Yeah, but the one that they provided was in 10 parts per million.
So,
10 parts
Still
per
have-
million, you gotta put it out to
So
a
the 10
trillion.
parts per million is the one with the 1 and then 7 zeros, parts per trillion. So it's 100, it's 10 million parts per trillion. So
and
it's
is
quite
there
a big
any
amount.
part that's like parts per, I felt like I heard at one point, and you might know this, that there was something like the drinking water can
It's
have it to us,
4 parts per trillion.
is 4 parts per trillion,
it's
and you were
very-
saying the Martha's Vineyard field was leaching at 12 parts per trillion.
Trillion a year.
Yeah.
So it's adding, so.
But
four-
that's
four-
drinking water level of 4 parts per
Yeah.
trillion is
It's below-
okay?
it's
Is that,
No, no, it's
it has
not-
to be
no,
below that,
zero.
right?
It's not
Zero.
a safe level. of
No, I
PFAS.
agree. I think, yeah, we all.
So the feds are gonna go to 4 parts per
When
trillion,
you
not
hit-
20 parts per trillion.
So EPA, I'll actually read you the, EPA said this, so when it hits 4 parts per trillion, that means you have to take action.
Yeah.
And so EPA said, there's a quote from this.
But I think,
Oh, sorry, I'll
Let
read
her
it.
finish, please.
Yep.
It's actually, okay. So in 2023, the EPA called PFAS an urgent threat to public health and environment and emphasized that even very low levels can pose significant health risks, including cancer. So any level, for PFOA, PFOS, any level can cause health risks and cancer. So that's why we're at parts per trillion is like super, super small. But any level of that you shouldn't want it in your water. So 4 parts per trillion is when they have to federally take action. That's when we cannot allow it. Below that, I would still say EPA is saying 0 is the only thing you can call safe. So when the turf field leaches it, that's 12 parts per trillion, way beyond that, that's leaching into our water. And what's worrisome for us compared to other towns is that we are on one sole aquifer. And we have sandy soil and we're very, very shallow. Everyone's basically drinking surface water. Our wells are like 30 feet. 30 to 70.
There's one off.
Private wells.
Sure, private
Yeah,
wells,
they're-
but,
we're basically
so
drinking very
the
shallow.
public, which I think is actually really interesting, I found
It's
on
like
the
90 feet.
the website of the Wanacott Water website, it has it on there right now, is that they actually tested the wells from our public drinking, and none of them had PFAS, which is interesting
it
because,
does.
no, it's on the website, so we can call the water company.
We've shut down.
You
We've shut down.
private wells.
No,
No.
we've shut down our public well.
We've had
and
to
we're
close
putting in
public
the
wells.
filter.
Okay, then they need to take it on their website, because they
Yeah,
have
no, we
that,
probably
that's
don't
on
have
there
that updated.
today.
If I could, just to clarify that, the wells that you are currently drinking water out of from Wanacommet do not have PFAS in them. Scary levels. However, there are
That's
in
right.
fact wells that are no longer active, that they're
They
doing
took it off.
mitigation efforts
Like-
because there's too much PFAS in it. So
Not the
you're both
private
correct.
wells. Right, yeah.
Essentially.
So the web, I just got it directly from their website, I'm not
Yeah.
disputing facts that I haven't read about. Can I ask a question? It's not PFAS related right now, it's actually trying to go to the core of the issue, is that we have a usage issue. So,
So that, well,
Is-
I think we should increase the budget that we have for our maintenance, if that's on the table or even option. And I do think we should look at Marblehead and ask them, I mean, there's consulting groups that are able to help to increase the usage of the grass. And we could give it a try, I'm just saying, because if you put in a turf field, there's no going back. I mean, that's like, it's a dead zone below it, and you basically killed it, everything below it. My suggestion would be, or what I would do is, maybe speak to them, speak to the town, it's a town municipality, and all of their grass, and they've gotten great usage, they've gotten the amount of usage. So what the turf field can get you is 3,000 hours is what they say, which is, I think, allows you 16 hours a day. That's what turf will get you. So 2,225 is, what, 12 hours a day? I think that's pretty good for grass, but it would require, leveling, aeration, resodding, things like that I think we can do and try it.
do because there's a manpower problem
No,
on
they come
Nantucket.
in, there's STS can come in.
So that would be a
So it
cost,
wouldn't-
what the
yes,
cost would be.
Yes, it would be a cost. so it's not more burden on our staff that we already have.
Do you think the town would pay for something like that ongoing maintenance? Is there, I mean, can you guys speak to that at all, as whether, I mean, that's a
We only control
professional,
the school
right.
committee budget.
I guess
We
it's
don't
just-
have anything to do with the town.
That's
This
a
is an entirely
professional
separate issue.
level.
I think we need to, I'm sorry, I think we kind of need to bring it back to the point, the reason that we're all here, which is we need a solution that's gonna be what's best for the kids.
Yeah.
Regardless of how we feel about grass versus turf. I think we can all agree that an asphalt track, I ran track before I moved here. I graduated before track and field was a thing here. I'm from Jamaica, but we breed track stars. That's just how it is. We can all agree that the asphalt track is not it. Okay, so that already needs to be revisited. We keep going back to the fact that we have a use issue. So we need to figure out how we can maximize playing time. Personally, I can speak to the fact that I don't want to be poisoned. You know, so to know that turf, regardless of the companies saying that they're PFAS free, we know, and we've said this through and throughout this table, that there's no such thing as PFAS free. It's in our clothes, it's in our water, it's in the air we breathe, microplastics are everywhere. I won't even go there, anyway, just tuck that thought away. But we need to figure out what we're going to do for these kids.
I just want to acknowledge that we have two students
That's what I
here
was gonna say.
that I would like to hear from them. I just saw Eli, who last time I feel like I saw him, he was this big. So I would.
Actually, one of my concerns is with the usage.
If we didn't go with a turf, like what would our solution be? Because lacrosse and I know field hockey all experience the dust that's around the goals. Because when, like in lacrosse, when we're getting ground balls, that dust goes right into our eyes. The goalies in lacrosse, when they're kicking everywhere, no one can see the balls. So if we went with option 2, what would be a solution to that dust and that overusage of that field?
Good question.
That's
Great
the
point.
question.
Excellent point. I'm not sure we have a solution to it.
Is it dust because there's grass there? Is that, so hopefully, whatever, you know, if everybody wants to go with artificial turf, we go with artificial turf. But if the school committee or the town wants to look into having grass that actually can withstand it, that would be ideal so that you don't get the dust, because it would be grass that keeps it down, hopefully. But, you know, that's up to whether or not they do that.
I'd love to mention is with the track, it adds that you can have high jump, long jump, and triple jump. And I do indoor track, and they provide like high jump at the meets, but none of us get to compete in it because we don't get to practice it here. And also with the track, we get to use our spikes, because I only get to use my spikes during my meet, so I don't get the practice with how to have good form for that. And then we do have a long jump here, but it's never in great condition and the lines are never right for it. So I just want to mention that this as a whole would give us so much more and like take away all those setbacks we are experiencing.
I just want to, just to tag on that, someone made a comment earlier about being embarrassed when teams come. Do you share that feeling?
I do definitely a bit, because they come to this field and they, like for lacrosse games, they'll see there's holes everywhere. The draw, when we're taking the draw on the circle, there's like, you can hardly see the center line, and it's just like, it's not effective. And yeah, it's also, it sucks to be like, I can never have home meets where my parents get to see me run. And yeah.
I mean, I'll touch on that. I mean, I won't throw the embarrassed word out, but from my standpoint and my point of view, it's like, it's awkward. It's because it's talked about all the time. So like, for instance, for football games that we have here, I'll be a nice guy and I'll drive the coach and all their equipment down in my golf cart. They get dropped off in front of CPS, they change in the CPS gym. So I offer Matt and myself, hey, you want to just put your stuff, your headset, your balls, water, whatever in the back of the cart? Sure, I'll drive you down, I'll show you where the field house is. And it's more often than not, it's like we're playing this, like
the sideline area for the visitor side is dirt. There's no grass or nothing. And we get a little rain and it's like 10 times worse. So I'm not gonna say it's embarrassing, but it's awkward and uncomfortable for me. So.
I can speak to the NES field too, where I had practice every day all season. There's an old softball, baseball field, what is that? That runs on that if you're
So you have
the
softball on
left
one
side.
side.
The field that's
Behind
on
the benches?
NES, that we play on.
That's the JV middle school baseball field.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that runs onto our field, which presents a very uneven surface. So literally before every practice and game, the girls are reminding each other, guys, watch that side. So they're going out to play powerhouses against other towns, and they're reminding each other to watch their ankles where the field is uneven. That is a bit embarrassing. It's sad that is, I'm doing a pre-game huddle and that's what's coming up in the huddle.
And then the solution, someone already mentioned it, I know we could talk about this for hours, but like,
Just-
was sand. Sand was the solution
I don't think that's
to
a very-
eliminate
yeah.
the drop.
No, that's not a good solution. And then at Bacchus Field, we practiced there recently and I had cones out on all the deep holes in the grass and the girls kept picking them up because they're so great and help me pick up. Nope, don't pick up those. I don't want you guys to step in a 6 foot to a foot hole and break your ankle.
Something I definitely
So
agree with.
maybe you could speak to that.
Because for lacrosse, there's so much uncertainty with our football field. Like our coaches before in our warm-ups, we have to try and figure out where the ground ball is going to bounce, but it'll be rolling and out of nowhere hit a bump, go the whole other way. So there's there's so many secret or just come out of nowhere bumps and holes that so many ankles have been rolled on, and it's just so uncertain and unsafe.
I had a point about and I don't know if this, and SMRT left.
So they might be able to give more information. I don't know if Lisa had talked about something about a loop around, I was trying to listen to, she had said something about just a loop around the base football field, maybe.
She was saying how certain basketball practice.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's-
Well, so the other thought was, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I had heard that it's good to also have the track, everyone decides on, going around a practice field. I don't know why, but they had said that that would allow more flexibility with the practices of the track team and other teams playing. And then that would also allow for field sports. And I know we don't have that, but you had mentioned high jump. Would that allow more room for you if you had it not along the football field? I don't know.
So
those are just some thoughts.
I think I can speak for people. We have such a limited amount of space. And on our campus, we would need to look for multiple fields outside of this campus. So even if we continue to go towards grass, and that is what the school committee wishes, at this point, to solve the problem around usage, we're gonna need to find multiple fields. And the problem with that is we don't have any right now that are available to us. We obviously can start discussion around that with the town, et cetera. But those fields may not be even in regulation, which means they then in themselves have to be upgraded, put into play. So we're talking about we're again pushing things down the line. If we're looking at the urgency that we're really seeing, we need to pay attention to usage and we need to pay attention to that. So that's again up to the town to decide, up to the school committee to determine, but it becomes the same problem. It's usage is the problem, and even if we go with grass, we do not have the space on the island to be able to do that right now. If miraculously there were spaces identified and we could then do the groundwork, which is costly, to put those up to speed, then yes, and have viable practice fields, then yes, we could certainly do that. But we're talking 5, 6, 10 years from now. So it's still the same problem. So that's all.
Just gotta try and figure things reality and try and figure out their training because our days are gonna go crazy pretty soon. So we've toured around, we've been talking about a lot of things. This agenda says we're supposed to be talking about Vito Capizzo renovation only. Looking at other factors outside of that, we have drifted off what's on the agenda quite significantly. So to bring it back to this one topic for what is on our agenda, there's a few things that I would like to see potentially, and we're not taking votes tonight. So Beth, this is something that is kind of a request of sorts for you to investigate if it's possible. I think we're arguing blind in a few things. The 2021 table is lovely, it's great data, it's little dated. Can that be updated? Can we get more relevant data to say either last school year or for how things might be projected for this school year, so that we can get a real handle on our usage and see where it is? That would benefit every side in this conversation. This next part is, I do not wish to cause offence to anyone. We've had very pro turf and very anti-turf sides of things. But again, I think in some ways we're arguing blind. What I would like to request, please, and if you can investigate this, is to see if we can get a materials scientist, somebody who knows about these things, to come and advise the school committee with a neutral background, no interest in what is the outcome. A consultant is what I mean by that.
I'll do my best.
Thank you. There's a couple more things. I've heard and received emails that on a topic that didn't really come up tonight, it kind of did in some ways, that the track should just be somewhere else, or people saying that the idea that a track should not go around it, and that's an outdated idea. I understand and hear exactly what you're saying, Beth, about where does the track go if it doesn't go there. I appreciate that. But I also know that some of the people that are generating this are coming from the top level of our town's governance. So that is worrisome, to say that if we propose this, will it not advance? So I don't have an answer to that, and I don't have a request around it. I'm just acknowledging it as a risk. I talked about risk earlier. This is my thing. I look at risks.
Thank you.
Another 2 points, and then I'm done, I promise. You said this started about 8 years ago in 2017 as a design, and then it's been going through iterations, and it hasn't gotten anywhere. We're still stuck in design. So, like a film stuck in development, it hasn't gone anywhere. So what I'd like to understand is timing. We heard that it would take, under one circumstance, what was it that he said?
8 to 12
8 to 12 months to construct. And then if it was for a turf field, and if it's not a turf field, if it's a grass field, a year for sod to work out and be viable to play on. So that's one thing. When can we get to play on it? But even if we were to get through the next few phases, how long will it take to go through full design? How long will it take to go through the various things for town funding? So I'm thinking things like Capital Programs Committee, Finance Committee, getting it to town meeting so that we can budget on those kind of things. So time-wise, we're talking about upwards of 23 million that will take maybe 2-3 years to get through design, to get to a town meeting so that there's a vote. So what we've also seen from other large-scale projects, that 2 years costs more. So we'd probably be another 2 or 3 million on top of that. We can't get large-scale projects through town meeting for a lot of things. Our retirement home, our DPW, will this risk falling into the same category that we can't get a quality product for our children, which is the whole point here, because costs are going up. I don't want to talk about dividing this project, but I don't know what to do. I'm just saying that that is a risk, because we're looking at the time frame to get to a budget. And then, last point is, no matter what, once we get to the floor of town meeting to get this funding, if we have the same disagreement, the same polarization that is in this room tonight, we're not going to get anything. So we do need a community-supported outcome. The best way to do that is exactly what we've done here tonight, and possibly some more workshops to find a solution that's livable for everyone. That is a hard thing to do, but the community input that we've seen here tonight is vital.
Bravo. Agreed.
If I may, so time is limited. We are expected to share with the town probably by the end of the year, so December 15th or so, whatever article, whatever decision needs to be made, simply because the warrant has to be printed in January, and then we move forward for a town meeting. So there isn't a lot of time for a lot more workshops, but I do agree. And I just wanted to make a point that we are kind of in a time crunch as it is with urgency.
Does that mean the plan has to be like, you guys know exactly what's on the bid set kind of plan by January?
The plans that you have seen.
Yep.
Are pretty much the plans that we would push forward. There really aren't any, this isn't the beginning. This design has been in place and has been shared. The only changes that have happened from what you saw in 2021 to now has been the shift of the change of the surface. So the original 2021 plan with turf changed to grass. The original 2021 track changed to asphalt. So the idea is not to change anything, although if there is more research to do to find if there's more information around the turf that they're using, that we can certainly do. That we can certainly find. But the actual design is not changing. It's going to be the same.
So that design this is precisely the same, except.
Exactly the same.
Yeah. But you could easily,
There's one
let's
area in
say,
the parking, excuse me, there's one area in the parking lot which we moved away.
Got
So
you.
that was the only thing, but that has nothing to do with the field, the grandstand, the lighting, et cetera.
So we're precisely, I'm sorry, Graham, we're precisely where we were.
In 2021.
We're in exactly the same place.
just with different surfaces
That's
now.
right.
And
That's it.
so I just am curious if you guys in the school committee decide that you want to consider synthetic track, right? Is that something that can get changed by January, or are we like?
Sure, but that's not going to help us with the field. The issue around the
Correct,
field.
yeah, I'm just asking what can
Right.
can
Yes.
that stuff swap out? Like, is
Yes,
there, okay.
absolutely.
Eli, do you have anything to say?
I was gonna say.
I would love to, another student. What? It's like I'm exhausted.
I think no, you don't worry. I personally, as a football player, I go to away games, and I mean, practicing on the grass, it gives like a home field advantage, definitely, because we play on like the bumps, like the ridges, like super. Like when it rains, it's horrible to practice. Like practice is awful. You're slipping, like kids are getting hurt. I've noticed that a couple kids have been hurt, like first week of practice. Yeah, kids. Like we had 2 players who are crucial go down like the first week on grass. Yeah, 2 kids getting down. Pretty bad ankle injury, but he's back now. But I'm just like going on that fact, like the field is really bad. I think he slipped pretty bad and then he got hit. But I notice every summer that we have like the middle of the field gets like redone with like grass and like new stuff with like the grounds crew. But like a month in, it gets torn up and it's the same exact thing. So I mean, we can like keep putting, like maybe a month in, like first couple weeks, like there's a huge difference. Like the middle of the field, like as Grace said, like by lacrosse season. It's torn up, completely torn up. Yeah, it's completely torn up. And it's very dusty. I've noticed that too. And when it, I mean, it not like breathing, but like visually, like it gets in your eyes, 100%. Like for a goalie, it's gonna be hard to even save the ball. That's what I think. But yeah, I think if we keep putting like the maintenance we have for the grass, it's just gonna end up where we are now. A pretty crappy field we have so far.
If I may also, we did a pretty big overhaul over the summer with trying to seed the field. It was, people were asking a lot about irrigation because we were irrigating. We moved the football team to practice in a different field. So up until gameplay, we tried to keep people off so that it could actually take hold. And we're still in not the same.
We set up for them to practice on the old baseball field, like adjacent to the field hockey field. So
the
up
grass
until
was rough.
up until a couple of weeks ago, they were practicing up there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
They were practicing up there for the majority of the practice, and then they would go down to the game field for like special teams and extra points and field goals and stuff like that. But now that it's dark, so now they're down there all the time because the sun sets at 4:30. So even when they were staying off that field more than they normally have, like it was still getting beat up. Like so.
So I just want to comment on that or ask you a question. Practicing on a baseball field as a football player, can you speak to that?
I mean,
No, it's all grass.
It's all grass.
Okay, but in terms of like lines, I'm a big line as a coach, like I'm a big like line person. I don't know if it applies to
So the
football.
baseball field is gone. It's all grass.
Okay, whatever it is.
There's like some painted on lines now, but it's kind of like a huge hill in the middle. It's kind of like that. It's a little weird, but like I don't mind practicing on it, but it's definitely a lot different from like the game field. but it hurts a little more when you fall because it's like kind of compact, and definitely when it gets colder, like on both fields, it hurts really bad to get hit. Yeah, it hurts like, and since there's
Office agency and speak.
Reiterating, yeah.
Definitely when it's like, since there's like not much grass, like it's like all kind of dirt in the middle. When you fall, like it hurts so bad. Like coming from practice, like getting hit, like it's painful. Like going home, you have bruises all over. It's just like, it just kind of sucks to have that. But I mean, yeah.
We have, I'm allowing one, oh, this is gonna, no, this is exactly what I don't, yes, I will take, yes, you can, and then Lisa, and then we're done, and then we need to.
From another student perspective, it can be so frustrating.
Could you sit at the table?
Sorry. It can be so frustrating listening to all these facts about research about like kids in Florida. Like that doesn't really affect us at all. Like from a personal, as a student athlete on Nantucket, I have dislocated my toes, broken all my fingers, dislocated my things, gotten concussions, pulled muscles, and every single time it's on a grass field. The worst injury I've ever gotten on turf was a turf burn. And let me tell you, the grass burns from our NES grass field with all the rocks and the dirt hurt so much worse than a turf burn. Like they really hurt. And also, there was a lot of talk about it being too hot on a turf field, but if it's that hot outside, no one's really playing sports at 12 o'clock at June. No one's playing sports at that time. Like we're all at the beach, we're all in the water. It's too hot to even play, no matter grass or turf. But for things like Birdo's tourney, for things like captain's practices for soccer, when preseason starts, it's all at night. The temperature has cooled. It's okay to play on the turf at that time. And also, if the purpose of the school committee is to serve the students, I think we should definitely have more student perspective. Like, if you guys want me to get 300 signatures by Friday, I could do that so easily. There's so many students who really like feel for this and want turf and have opinions, but none of them even know about this. I had to have my mom pull me from where I was and tell me there's a meeting today, like you should speak. And also the research aspect, like there's so many like students who would literally sacrifice all their time, the little time that they have, student athletes, going to school every day, going to practice, that would research this. They would make documentaries, they would do all these things, when really, if we have a budget so big, if we have billions of dollars, why don't we just pay someone to find our solution? Like pay someone to research something that fits both sides of the story, something that's safe, but also better for the students. We can't be injuring ourselves by the compacted ground. Like I've seen squares in the goalie net at the NES field, and I think they tamper pad the grounds, and it hurts. And like I would sacrifice my own time for research, but I also think I'm not as credible as someone who's a professional who went to college for research purposes, who could give us a good solution. And also, we were talking about grass and like, oh, we can just keep trying, we can keep like making better maintenance. Except every single year we come into lacrosse and we're like, oh, what are all these like seeds on the ground? And then they're like, oh, it's meant to be grass. And then we run over them. And then the grass never grows because it doesn't have time to grow. Our preseason starts too soon and winter is too cold to start the process. And also I loved that you mentioned that how much plastic going into the turf is like 40,000 straws. That's amazing. We can recycle plastic and save 40,000 straws from the ocean. Like there's so many positive solutions. We just have to think positively.
Thank you, Amanda. I'll recognize Lisa, but you have to, okay.
Do I need to go up there?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I would just like to come from the perspective of, if you don't have the visual to imagine or know what something is, it's really hard to truly embody what that thing is. If you've never seen it, you don't know. Our kids have never grown up on this island knowing what a real track and field and athletic facility look like. They don't know any different. Many parents don't know any different. I ran track and cross country in high school and at the D1 level in college. And what I will tell you is our sports teams are overloaded. You look at the young programs that are happening, and there's so many kids that are part of these programs. And then you get to the high school level, and it's limited play. That's the reality. The reality is limited play. You look at a track and field program. Kids in the spring have the option of lacrosse, baseball, tennis. What am I missing? Right? Those are all sports. If you have not played your entire life, you're not starting. You're sitting on the sidelines. Do you know what it does to sit on the sidelines to your mental and emotional self if you are an athlete that wants to be part of something? If you have ever witnessed track and field, everybody participates. Field events are for anybody that doesn't fit a mold of what athletics look like. There is no limitation to who is successful. I coached the first year of our middle school CPS track team, and we went to the first meet we ever went to off island. And we showed up like the Bad News Bears, and the coach said to me, field events are first. And I was like, our kid, we don't have field events. We don't do field events. And he was like, just have them go. Our kids dominated. He was like, you lied to me. He's like, you totally lied to me. I was like, these kids, and they got this bug, this energy, this joy about them. This is not about, it's about the things, but the mission is the kids. Do you know how many kids that we could get out there visualizing that, being out on the track meet? That all these kids that have no place to go after school, that don't feel like they belong in baseball or lacrosse or tennis, which are extremely limiting sports as far as your experience and financially. And to have the ability to have these kids be someplace where they belong and they're part of something. And not to mention, how many high school sports can you actually continue to play in your adult life? How many? Not many. Running is one of those sports that you can continue your entire life, and it is something that is not only physically strong, but mentally strong and emotionally strong. And I think that we are doing a disservice by limiting the magic, the absolute magic that maybe people are not visualizing can happen, that is, this island deserves that magic. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Lisa. I am very close to saying that we're going to adjourn, and I'm going to do something that may seem out of order, but I would just like, for those of you that would support turf and a synthetic track, to raise your hand. I think that's information
abstaining.
that's important to see. So I just wanted to, and if you, those that would support grass and asphalt track, you would raise your hand. So I think.
There was 3 options.
There
There
were
was
3.
grass and the.
Yes, and
the
then,
other
and then grass and synthetic.
synthetic
Track, sorry, yeah.
Is that the polyurethane?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think that that's just important information that we need. That's just. So, on that note, I would like to make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Okay, thank you.
They're away.
Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Grace.
Wake up.
Appreciate you.